Um, Nowadays, we are all lot heard about the data. Specifically, when I say about the data, it means big data and let's say the machine learning as well. Nowadays, people are talking a lot about the machine learning, then specifically about the artificial intelligence as well. The people who are not belongs to IT field, even they are curious about it. What is mean by artificial intelligence and what is mean by machine learning and deep learning as well. There is a subset of machine learning that is also available. Friends, I just want to give you a brief idea about what is going on and what is this data means and where it is actually stands. It sounds little bit, let's say, mysterious as well, that this kind of a line, people think that if you are a technical guy only then you can enter into this field. But I'm very sorry to say, it is not at all true. The thing is, if you know little bit about the business, how the business actually work, if you know how this system, when I say system, it means I'm talking about the overall business and all business related things. And when I say business, it means I am talking about the sales and the purchase. These are the two important aspects about the business. So the basic idea is to maintain all the business related data into your system. Not only to the maintain, but to organize this data, and not only to organize, but to extract this data whenever required faster. So friends, there are two basic important aspects. If you talked about the big data or let's say warehousing environment, in fact, if you can talk about let's say transaction RDBMS as well, there are different types of databases available related to different requirements. But the altogether summary is, you can say, there are two major aspects. One is how do we are going to store this entire data. That is the one. Storage is important factor. Second one is how to process this data. So whether it is a big data or whether it is a Teradata warehousing environment or whether it is Oracle or Oracle like RDBMS, like a transaction RDBMS. So the main aspect is processing as well as the storaging of a data. So the main aspects, when the important aspects comes when we store the data, it means we need to load the data first. Okay. While loading up our data, we need definitely different type of utilities which are available. So if somebody want to, let's say, enhance his career or let's say change his career, definitely he or she must learn about the utilities, how to load the data, as well as let's say understand how the system works. To understand how this system works, I just want to give you one very simple example. Can you imagine your entire body is a set of storages. I mean to say, we just imagine you have sensors all over on your body. When you smell something good or bad, your brain immediately initiated that one, correct? And then if you touch something, then you realize that this one is hot or cold. So there are lots of sensors available in your body. So may I say that your entire body is a set of a big data. The entire body is a set of a big data. Okay, so there are aspects available initially before this big data terms comes called the transaction RDBMS. The beauty of the transaction RDBMS is what, whenever something happens, whenever any transaction done, it will commit immediately. It will store that data immediately. Committing means storing that data immediately. But not only that, whenever we are storing this data, it means we need that data later on to extract the reports. Yes. So the main purpose of this databases is to extract the reports, business reports I'm talking about. So on the basis of this business reports, people can, let's say, decide how further their business is going to, let's say, develop. So it is helpful for the decision making. So all these databases are actually used for a decision making purpose. So the sales teams most of the time and the management team, they require different kinds of reports. So our job is to store this data properly in a system and then to extract this data faster. That is again a part. As the time goes, this data enhances tremendously. The volume of a data enhances tremendously. Now our traditional type of RDBMSs, when I say about the Oracle or MySQL, all those RDBMSs, they are able to hold a huge amount of data. But the problem with this database is what you know, processing speed. Whenever they want to extract the data, then this processing speed actually a problem. The solution for these problems comes out to be with the big data. So big data claim that they are very good into the processing as well. Just imagine your body is having lots of a sensor, as I said earlier. Your body is going to hold huge amount of information as a data, right? But at the same time, our brain is able to process this data much more faster. So we as a IT guys, we want to, let's say, develop a system in a such a way that your entire unit of your hardware and the software will work in a such a way that it will work like a human being. That's where this artificial intelligence comes in a picture. So if somebody says something about the artificial intelligence, I can always say what he or she want to develop a clone of a person, clone of one particular process, so that we really don't require a person to be present over there to do a monotonous kind of operations. As because you know your brain is supposed to be a beautiful gadget which actually process your data, store your data faster. So we want to develop a same like a brain as a part of your let's say the system called artificial intelligence. To input this data, we required certain algorithms because you know we are doing lots of monotonous things in our day-to-day life, correct? So to fulfill this requirement, this machine learning comes up. So the job of machine learning is to develop an algorithm, right? And the job of let's say the transaction RDBMS is to hold or capture your day-to-day activities. I mean to say the transaction activities. The first one is to hold or capturing the transaction activity. That is the job of your transaction RDBMS, like Oracle, for example. Okay. Second one is if your day-to-day activity is tremendous, if the transaction and the volume of a data is tremendous, then you need to hold this data into somewhere called warehousing environment. I mean to say the Teradata is the best example for that. So we are holding this data into Teradata. So it means we are getting information from transaction RDBMS and we are moving this information from that transaction RDBMS to warehousing environment. Once you hold this information in warehousing environment, furthermore, we need this information to be developed in such a way that we really don't require a person to be present over there to extract the data. So that's the reason we are using this information to develop certain algorithms. So we are pushing this information into machine learning systems. Okay. Once this algorithm get developed, then we are pushing further it into the artificial intelligence. So there are four major aspects, friends. One is your transaction RDBMS. Second one is your warehousing RDBMS. Third one is your machine learning, where the algorithm is going to sit. And the fourth and the final one is your artificial intelligence that comes in a picture later on. Okay, so in that way, and all of those they actually required what? A data. So this is just a high level information about how this system work. You know, your Oracle RDBMS, their architecture is quite different than the warehousing RDBMS, whereas big data's architecture, their architecture is a bit different than the warehousing and as well as the Oracle RDBMS. Let's say the cost is the important factor which comes in the picture while deciding upon which RDBMS is to be used by which employee and which type of a business. And most of the time, as per my experience, I can tell you, people are using all of those three, let's say the RDBMSs in their business because their requirement is like that only, because they are getting the information from the end users, so they need transaction RDBMS. Once they get the information from the end user, they need something to hold this data for analyzing purpose. So they need Teradata warehousing environment for that purpose. And furthermore, they need a big data because this big data can able to, let's say, process let's say the unstructured data. When I say unstructured data, it means the videos and let's say the data which is produced by the sensors and all those things, okay, which is not at all the part of your structural data. So the big data is also there. Let's say the major difference between this big data and the warehousing environment is what, you know, warehousing environment is also able to hold all these videos and all those type of data, but they are very poor, while comes while the question comes about the processing of a data. So that's why the big data comes in the picture. So big data help us to process your unstructured data, whereas the Teradata or warehousing environment help you to store that data as well. And furthermore, as a part of your data science, we have to have developed some certain statistics which help us to produce the algorithms, I mean machine learning, and furthermore, what we required, we want to push this data into the artificial intelligence. So hands to hand, all of those, let's say from transition RDBMS to AI, they are connected with each other. So friends, I hope we will start over this beautiful journey related to the database and how this work very soon. Thank you very much for the day. Thank you.